All right, folks, let's get started on our mountain. Here's my palette. It looks about the same as it always does. I'm going to use this for the sky. This is pink. This is Prussian blue, black, and burnt umber. This is for our close-up mountain. I took some of this, put it in this pile, added some white. That's for our distant mountain. And this is our topping. One's a little darker than the other. This is just burnt umber and white. This goes on top of the mountains. And we're going to start with some pink. Just like I always do. I like my skies pink for these mountain scenes. And I'm using a 1-inch brush just to start with, just to place my collars where I think I want them at. And this is a wet on wet painting, which means I have liquid white. I put it all over the whole canvas and it makes the canvas wet. Liquid clear is the same thing, it's just not white. It just helps your paints blend, is what it does. In case you were wondering, I think that's probably good enough. And I'm going to take, like I said, I'm going to take a 2-inch brush and I'm going to mix all that up here in just a second. Let's take some phthalo blue. Let's go along the edges. Streak it in a little bit. This is phthalo blue, and then I'll come back with some Prussian blue on top of that and make it a little darker. We're just going to kind of wing this mountain today like we typically do. Now let's take some Prussian blue. See, it's a lot darker. And you want it really dark in the corners and along the top in particular. I'll darken this edge up a little bit too, but especially in the corners and along the top. I think I got one here. I think it's got a little bit of blue on it, but I hope it's okay. We're going to start in the pink. We're going to work outward using crisscross strokes. Do not start in the blue and work inward. That would be terrible. That'd be tragic. And I'm going around these edges. I'm going around the edges of the blue that's sticking in the pink first before I go into that real dark blue. Once you hit that real dark blue, man, you can't go back into the pink because it won't be pink anymore. And the blue is going to mix, and that's fine. We don't want the sky solid pink anyway. We just want a hint. Just a hint. And I'm wiping my brush off continuously as I'm going up here. Getting off the excess blue. Working our way up. I like that. Okay, let's just keep going up. Yeah, you don't want your sky solid pink. You want it to, just a hint, just a hint. I would call that a hint. Maybe I want one mountain. I am just not 100% sure. Let's go ahead and just do a couple. I'll start right here. We'll put one distant mountain there. You know, I mean, I don't know. We might need, these mountains might get covered up with pine trees. They might not. I'm not sure. So just to be sure, scrape most of your paint off too, by the way. Now let's get us a brush and let's pull that paint out. Try to get us a clean one here. Let's pull this paint out. Let's see what we got. Okay, let's do this one. Pull out your paint. Okay. Now we probably want to put a mountain in the middle. Trying to find me some clean spots on these paper towels, man. That blue just about took all my clean spots away. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the mountain in the middle. We're going to use the darker color, which is this. This was for our distant mountains. This is for our closer mountain. Oh, I just don't know. Let's just try something. Let's just put something up here and see what it looks like. It's got a nice sharp peak on it. Excuse me. Oops, painting slid. It's pushing too hard. Okay. Let me look at it here a minute. Let's take a gander. Okay. I'm putting this black on here to cover up some of that pink. Then of course I'm going to scrape it away. You don't want a lot of excess paint. Let's see what that looks like. That don't look too bad at the moment. There's only one way to find out if you like it though. Let me pull this painting back out. I got my painting sitting on the edge of my easel so I can get to it a little better. Hard for me to get to my painting if it's pushed back. Let's pull this out. Pull all of our paint out. Get rid of some of this excess paint off my brush. And we're going to use, I got my brushes right here in front, my knives right here in front of me. We're going to use the lighter color, which is this. It's not a lot lighter, but it's a little lighter than that. Let's see what happens. I like to go along these edges first. And you're barely putting pressure on it. Barely, literally. Can't stress it enough. That's probably good. Let's jump to this one back here. Turn my knife a little different to get some of this, I think. Okay, I don't think that's too bad right there. I don't think that's too bad. All right, let's do the mountain in the front. We will start here. Start here and work our way down. Keep wiping your knife off because you're going to pick up a lot of this blue underneath of it. And remember, barely touch it. Barely touch it. Let me look here a second at some. I'll bring this around. Barely touching. And just keep working it. Let's get a little bit right back in here. There we go. I think that's okay. Yeah, I like it. You see, I'm standing back and I'm looking at it because that's the best way to tell. It's hard to tell when you're standing right up on it, like I was doing. Okay. Keep sticking my knife in the wrong color here. I want this lighter color. I want to hit this back one here real quick. If I get some on my knife. Okay, I don't think that's too bad. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Wipe my knife off real good. Let me get a little bit of this white. Let me put a little bit on, just a little bit at the top of some of these. Make them a little snow-capped. This is what I like to do. Because I think it looks good. You know, you don't want to overdo. You got to have a limit. You got to have a limit to everything you do. You don't want to put too much on. But you do have to put enough. I mean, we may have to go over this again with some of this. You know, when we're in our touch-up phase. Which will be right after we put our blues on. Let's go ahead and make a shadow. Let's make some shadow color. I am just going to use this mountain color. I'm just going to add some white to it. Let's hit a spot where it's not real noticeable. Okay, it looks okay so far. You have to do a test spot. If you know what I'm saying. You don't want to just throw it up there. See, I think that looks okay for a far away mountain. Because you want it pretty light. Light in color because it's distant. Let's see, I may have to switch knives real quick. I got a big knife and a little knife. This is my small knife. Got to use your small knife sometimes. And this is one of them times. Okay, let me just make this a little darker. I'm just pulling some out of this pile. Trying to darken it a little bit. Let's do a test. Hope it ain't too dark. I think that looks pretty good. If you don't want too dark, or you won't be able to see it. I can see it because I'm standing right on it, but I want you to see it. Let's do some right here. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. I kind of like that color. Okay, I can switch now. I can get my big knife now. Let me go ahead and switch get my big knife, which is right here in front of me. Move my paper towels out of the way. The further down I go, the more I'm hitting my paper towels. Okay. Now let me darken this more. We're getting closer. It's getting closer to us. So we want it darker. Put some up in here. Get some on my knife. Okay. Let's put some right up in here. I'm going to take my brush here in a second. I'm going to soften some of this, and hopefully it's what we want. All right, let me set this down. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's just soften some of this up. Don't have to be perfect, because we're not finished yet. We do want it a little softer. Let me soften. I like this area here softened, if I can get it. Get my paper towels back. Okay, yeah, that's probably okay right there. I'll have to go back over some of this probably. Okay. Get my knife back. Now let me see if I can put just a little bit of this back. Put a little back. See, the closer it is, the darker in color that it should be. In case you're wondering what the heck am I doing. But that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it a little darker in color. All right. All right, let's go ahead and put some background trees in. I'm going to take sap green and black. And we're going to start right here. And we're just going to start throwing some stuff in. If you notice, a lot of these mountain paintings, unless they're really different, they all kind of have the same patterns to them. I mean, I could put pine trees, but to be honest, I think I like these better than putting pine trees in on the back row. I mean, I'll do that eventually, and I probably have, because I've done quite a few mountain paintings. But I like these type of trees better. It's just stuff. I mean, it could be bushes, it could be trees. It's just use your imagination. I don't know what they are. They could just be whatever. But it's something to look at, and it's part of the painting. These might be covered up, I don't know. I'm just throwing them in. Okay, I'm looking here a second. Let's see, I'll go ahead and throw some of this in, because I just don't know what I'm going to put here yet. I'm sure there'll be pine trees probably somewhere. There almost always is. Let me see something real quick. I can make this a little darker right here. Before I put these trees in, get that a little darker. Now, okay, I think that's probably good enough for this. Let's take a little cad yellow light, and I'm just going to put some color on them, just to freshen them up. Just put a little color on it, that's all. Just to make them a little different other than black and green. Black and green's kind of boring, isn't it? Okay, let's pull some reflections. I want to get me a clean brush this time. And I'll hold my paper towels in my hand. And we're going to start right here. Okay, and I'm wiping my brush off each and every time. And we're going to go sideways. We're going to continue to wipe our brush. Now let's make us a water line across through there. I'll take a little white, and I'm probably going to mix it with some of this brown, because I've noticed water lines when they're pure white, it might be too much, you know what I'm saying? Too much, too bright. All right, folks, let's go ahead and put a little grass on our land right here. We know that the light is coming down this way. We can tell by our mountains. I'm going to go ahead and start with cad yellow light, because this is really wet and it's going to mix up like crazy. It's got blue underneath, so it probably should turn green automatically, shouldn't it? Let me get some yellow ochre. Throw some ochre in. Get some green. See, that's nice and muddy. As we suspected it would be. Let's take some Prussian blue. I want this real dark down in here. Down here toward the bottom, you want it pretty dark. That's probably okay right there. That's probably okay. All right, let's put some pine trees in. As you can see, you can plainly see where I'm going to put them, because I scraped the paint off and I took a shop towel and I wiped that off. Right where my pine trees are going to go. Because, man, it is hard to fight this kind of paint. Excuse me. When it's real wet like this, it is very hard to fight. So that's one way to help yourself. Just scrape it off and wipe it off. We got 3 pine trees going in. You don't have to do it. I don't even know why I do it really. I just mark it out. But make sure you cover up where you've scraped away. That's pretty important. But it's pretty obvious what's going on. Yeah, that's a skinny tree there. That's fine. They don't always have to be massive. They don't have to be ginormous all the time, if you know what I'm saying. Sometimes they can be medium trees, skinny trees. Just make them all different. All right, let's go ahead and throw some. We're going to start highlighting our trees. I'm taking cad yellow light and I'm barely touching. I got my brush loaded with it and I'm barely touching the right side of these trees. And you do need a clean paper towel because you have to wipe it off each and every time and get a reload. Pack it on your brush because this paint's wet and you're going to need to pack it. Just pack it on there. See, I like that. I think that looks good. That's the reason I do it this way. You don't have to do it this way. I just like how it looks. But this is real wet, so you got to pack it on. Continuously reloading. Continuously reloading. And then we'll get this big tree right here. And just keep wiping it off because you have to each and every time. Okay, I put a rock here and I'm going to put a bush here, magenta. So let's take some black, and I wiped that off a little bit, and I'm hoping this is going to stick. Well, the black will stick. I'm hoping my magenta will stick. Okay, that looks pretty good. Of course, you know, it's black. We got to put some magenta on. I'm using the same brush. And I got me a big pile of magenta, and I'm going to pack it on. Let's see. Gonna be tough. Okay, let me just touch it with some white, and I think that's going to have to work because, boy, that's packed on there. Man, I mean, that's packed. Oops. When someone says oops, you know, that's not good. I think it's probably acceptable though. I'll get back on my camera and look and see if it's acceptable. See, a lot of times the more you touch something, the worse it gets. So, because of it's being wet. Let me look. All right, folks, that looks like a wrap. I think it turned out pretty good. I like it. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for more future videos. And thanks for watching.